If you can't stop thinking about someone, your soul is trying to tell you something. This sentence sounds simple, but within it lies layers of emotion, psychology, memory, longing, and spiritual meaning. Sometimes a thought isn't just a thought. Sometimes a person doesn't just live in your mind accidentally. They stay because something inside you is trying to make sense of that connection. When someone repeatedly enters your mind, it feels like the universe keeps placing their face in front of you, and you don't fully understand why. You wake up and their image is there, you go to sleep, and their memory touches you, and in the moments between, your heart keeps whispering their name without permission. This isn't just random. The human mind forgets thousands of faces, interactions, and moments, yet certain people refuse to fade. That isn't coincidence. It's a sign something deeper is unfolding. There are moments in life when we meet someone who leaves a mark beyond logic. You might have known them briefly or for years, but something about them feels familiar or unfinished. You might try distracting yourself, focusing on work, talking to other people, scrolling through your phone, trying to silence that inner call. But still, the thought returns, softly, insistently. Sometimes this is attachment, sometimes it is longing, sometimes it is unresolved emotion, and sometimes it feels like destiny quietly pulling invisible strings. The truth is, when someone stays in your heart and mind, it's rarely without reason. There are emotional reasons. When you feel deeply for someone, or they touched you during a vulnerable phase in life, your mind forms imprints. Humans are wired to cling to emotional memory, especially when a connection felt meaningful, unfinished, or comforting. The brain stores emotional experiences much stronger than ordinary ones. That person might remind you of safety, love, hope, or even pain that you never fully processed. Sometimes thinking about them is your soul's way of asking you to heal something, understand something, or accept something. When emotions are unexpressed, the mind keeps replaying them, hoping you will finally acknowledge what your heart avoided. There are psychological reasons. When someone leaves your life unexpectedly, or the relationship never found closure, your brain treats it like an unresolved puzzle. Human beings crave answers. We don't like emotional open endings. So your subconscious keeps returning to the memory, trying to rewrite outcomes, trying to understand what could have been different. It's human nature to revisit what feels incomplete. The mind repeats what the heart hasn't processed. Sometimes those repeated thoughts are not about the person. They are about the emotion attached to them. Maybe you miss how they made you feel. Maybe your mind is trying to rebuild a moment where you felt seen, valued, or truly alive. There are spiritual reasons too. Some people appear in our lives to awaken certain parts of us. They remind us of love, resilience, self-worth, or vulnerability. They trigger growth. They challenge us to face parts of ourselves we ignored for too long. In life, some souls enter not to stay forever, but to change us forever. Their role isn't always physical presence. Sometimes their purpose exists in memory, lessons, and transformation. When someone lingers in your thoughts, it might be because your journey with them is happening internally now, not externally. The connection is teaching you something, even in silence, even in absence. Sometimes thinking about someone is not about love or longing. Sometimes it's intuition. Energetic bonds are real. When you share a strong emotional connection, your nervous system remembers their energy. When two people have deep emotional synchronization, they can feel each other even in silence. You might think of them and suddenly they call, or you see their name, or a memory appears unexpectedly in your environment. It feels like the universe whispers their existence back to you. This isn't fantasy. It's the invisible thread of emotional resonance. Some people are not just memories, they become energies that live inside your awareness. There are times when constant thoughts come because your heart didn't get closure. Closure isn't always a conversation. Sometimes closure is acceptance. Sometimes closure is realizing someone mattered, even if they didn't stay. Sometimes closure is learning to let go without bitterness. And sometimes closure is recognizing that your soul connected deeply, but life moved differently. Thinking about someone might be your heart's way of gently letting go piece by piece, memory by memory, emotion by emotion. Every time you think of them, a layer dissolves until one day, the thoughts soften and peace arrives. Healing is not sudden. It whispers itself into existence. But there are also moments when the reason you can't stop thinking about someone is because the story isn't finished. Some connections circle back in life when both souls have grown, healed, or aligned. Sometimes the timing was wrong the first time, but destiny stores the bond for later. The soul doesn't follow clocks. It follows purpose. When someone haunts your thoughts, it may mean the bond has more chapters left, whether of love, understanding, forgiveness, or transformation. Not every returning thought is a sign to move on. Sometimes, it's a sign to remain open, patient, and trusting. However, thinking about someone constantly doesn't always mean they're meant to stay. It can also be a reminder to choose yourself. Sometimes your soul brings that person into your thoughts so you can finally decide what you truly deserve. You might realize you love too deeply without receiving balance. You might understand your worth and see where you lost yourself. The memory becomes a mirror, not a destination. Thoughts can be teachers. They show you where you loved, where you hurt, where you grew, and where you forgot yourself. They teach you what you need, what you value, and what you won't accept again. Love is not always about holding on. Sometimes love is learning to release with grace. When your soul makes you think about someone repeatedly, it may not be asking you to chase them. It might be telling you to acknowledge your emotions, understand their meaning, honor the story, and then rise. True strength is not forgetting. It's remembering without breaking. It's carrying memory without losing yourself. It's loving without becoming blind. It's feeling deeply without becoming stuck. It's learning what your heart truly wants and trusting life to bring what is yours in the right way, at the right time. There are also moments when thinking about someone is because they awakened something inside you. Self-worth, passion, vulnerability, longing, faith, confidence, softness, or fire. They awakened an emotion you didn't know was sleeping within you. They lit a match inside your spirit. They made you feel human in a world that often pushes us into numbness. And even if they never return, even if you never speak again, a part of you will always be grateful for the spark they brought. Some memories don't fade because they were real. Some people stay in the heart because their presence rewrote a piece of your soul. But if someone takes too much of your mental space and it causes pain, confusion, or emotional exhaustion, your soul might be signaling that it's time to heal and let go, not because they meant nothing, but because your future needs space for something greater. Love should lift you, not drain you. A thought should comfort you, not imprison you. The right person brings peace, not obsession. The soul doesn't cling to what hurts. The ego does. The soul seeks alignment and truth. So if your heart whispers their name, but your peace suffers in their absence, your soul is inviting you to release gently, not to cling tightly. Sometimes the universe makes you think of someone because they are thinking of you too. Energies travel, emotions echo, bonds vibrate, and when hearts are quietly connected, thoughts meet in the unseen. If they were once emotionally connected to you, a part of their energy may still touch your heart from afar. But remember, spiritual connection doesn't always equal life partnership. Some bonds are meant for lessons, not forever. Some souls meet, not to walk together, but to awaken one another. And that awakening is sacred, even if the journey is separate. At the end of the day, when you can't stop thinking about someone, it means you are alive, capable of love, capable of memory, capable of emotional depth. It means you have a heart that feels, a mind that remembers, and a soul that sees meaning in connection. It means you are human, beautifully, painfully human. You don't need to force yourself to forget. You don't need to rush healing. You don't need to pretend you never cared. Feel what you feel, honor what touched you, and trust the path life is building for you. If the universe wants two souls together, it finds a way. If not, it replaces memories with new warmth, new love, and new meaning. Thinking about someone constantly doesn't always mean you need them back. Sometimes it means you are evolving, and evolution is never gentle. It breaks you before it rebuilds you. But when it rebuilds, you become someone who loves with wisdom, who remembers without pain, who lets go without fear, and who trusts life without doubt. So if someone lives in your mind, don't rush to decide whether it's fate or nostalgia. Just breathe, feel, observe, and grow. The soul always knows why, even when you don't yet have the words. And one day, when the lesson is complete, when the heart has learned, when the soul has healed, or the universe aligns the right timing, you will understand why you could never stop thinking about them. Whether they return to your life or remain a sacred memory, you will smile. Not because you finally figured it out, but because the ache has turned into wisdom, the longing into peace, and the thought into gratitude. Some people stay in your mind not because your story is stuck, but because your soul is awakening. And awakening always begins with a whisper. And sometimes that whisper sounds like their name.